We're going to talk about something good, but also bad, I suppose.
Yeah.
The good thing
is bad, I think.
The good thing is, we have these, I guess you could call them friends, really. There's this movement. It's called the Great Translation Movement, okay? And it's on Twitter. There's an official Twitter, which we shared last time, okay? We'll put it in the description somewhere, I guess. The Great Translation Movement has been making waves, okay? It's been turning up like everywhere.
It was in massive articles, actually. And there was something, I actually didn't share them on purpose because I don't want the wrong type of press.
Oh, you mean the articles?
Yeah, the articles. Because what happened is the Great Translation Movement is a bunch of Chinese people that state media in China is going after by saying they're overseas Chinese and they're brainwashed and, they're not actually Chinese people. Well, they're actually Chinese people.
Yeah.
And they're very fed up with how the Chinese government operates and how they brainwash their citizens of their own country. So they go out there and they translate things so that people in the rest of the world can understand what people are saying in China, right?
Yeah.
But these articles on some of the Western media sources were bad. And I'll tell you why. They were highlighting it, which was giving them attention, which is good.
Yes.
But they were saying things like, our experts say that this doesn't necessarily represent anyone's beliefs in China. This is not actually how people think in China. Yeah. Which, when I read that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. There's a lot of stuff on there that's definitely like, okay, whatever. It's just some haters online. But there's entire things like, for example, what we're about to cover here, which is just a translation of the CDC from Shenzhen.
Yeah.
So what do you mean that doesn't represent Chinese people's beliefs? It's from the government, right?
So for those of you who don't know, the Great Translation Movement is a bunch of volunteers, Chinese people, mainland Chinese people, and a few abroad, who have decided that they want to translate what's being talked about on Chinese social media, because Chinese social media really does shape society in China. It's the kind of thing that what's relevant in China at the moment will be talked about and will be bumped up to the top of Weibo and other Chinese social media. And you can tell because of the amount of engagement, the amount of upvotes, the amount of shares. So if you've got a document or a topic that is going viral in China and being shared out and talked about, that's a very good way to gauge what's going on in the mentality, the zeitgeist in China. So they've been doing that. They've been taking the top posts and they've been translating them. Now, unfortunately, something that the Chinese government has been relying on for the longest time is the language barrier. Foreigners can't read the Chinese internet, okay, from most countries. Most people can't read Chinese. So when they're out in the open discussing publicly how they support the Russian invasion and how much they hope that the Ukraine falls and the terrible things they want to do to the Ukrainian women and that kind of thing, it's out there publicly, and it's all good because nobody knows, because nobody's reading it. But this Great Translation Movement comes along, starts to translate some of these awful things that are being said publicly, being upvoted, discussed, shared, going viral, trending. They start to translate them into English, and people are like, wait a second, is this really the way Chinese people think? Is this really the way China thinks? Is this China's position? And it's really making the Chinese government furious. It's making them scared. It's making them worry now that, their secrets are being uncovered, basically.
I mean, I'm more interested. The thing about the Great Translation Movement, it's not one angle, right?
Yeah.
I don't really care about what some random internet trolls are saying about a basketball game.
Sure.
Or some bullshit thing that doesn't really matter. But when they actually translate very important things that shed light on what the sentiment on the ground is in China, it's important because that language barrier is broken down and we can finally figure out what the Chinese government, what they're doing to penetrate the zeitgeist of the populace and what's actually sticking.
So what happens is in China you have official accounts, official WeChat accounts and official Weibo accounts for every department of the government and for every hospital or, every important company or whatever has an official WeChat account and an official Weibo account. So what happens is somebody's put in charge of this official WeChat account, and their job is to put out announcements and put out anything that's relevant to, but it's relevant. Like everything that comes out of there is an official statement from that enterprise or from that company or that government organization. Okay. So the Shenzhen Nanshan CDC, Center of Disease Control, which I've actually been to, by the way. I've got footage of myself going there. I went there to go and train some of the doctors before the University Aid in Shenzhen. They, on their official WeChat account, they put out this statement, okay? And this is something that the Great Translation Movement was like, what the hell? And they translated it, okay? Let's read what it says. It says, some people may also say, look at the death of more than 1 million people in the United States now. And they are not complaining about the government. They are free and human rights come first. No one cares if they don't wear masks. That is because they have been fooled and crippled by Western values. Have you ever thought about going to heaven to talk about freedom and human rights? Of course, most people in the West believe in Christianity and yearn for heaven, Hall of Fame, and after the outbreak of the coronavirus, the vast majority of the deaths are elderly, which can reduce the burden on insurance companies and pension insurance. Why not capitalists? Right? In this wave of epidemics as of yesterday, blah, 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 there were, actually I should say March 28, because that gives it a date.
Yeah.
10 o'clock, March 28. There were 284,683 confirmed cases in Hong Kong, and the number of confirmed deaths had reached 7,420. The fatality rate was 2.6064. If calculated based on the total population, about 7.6 million Hong Kong, the mortality rate is 97.6. Wada.
This goes on.
Yeah, it goes. But the gist of this is to say, look how bad America is. Look how good China is dealing with this, because we don't have these death rates. We just, America, they wanted people to die because it's good for their, their insurance companies and stuff. It's like a conspiracy theory. And on top of that, the reason they're trying to be all bragging about how well they're doing is there's this internal battle right now between Shanghai and Shenzhen on which city performs better during this COVID lockdown.
Yeah, I'd actually like to explain that for a second. This battle that you're hearing about, and the reason it's important is actually Shanghai and Shenzhen vying for the central government's approval, because Xi Jinping decided that China's going to buckle down and do this zero COVID policy, while the rest of the world kind of goes, well, we're vaccinated, let's see how we mitigate this, keep our economies on track and keep people healthy. China's like, no, we're going to lock people inside of huge, massive dungeons, basically.
Sure.
And anybody, even if they're asymptomatic or they're not that sick or whatever, they're going to get priority over patients that are actually dying, right?
Yeah.
That's all because they want to vie for the love and support of Beijing. They want more funding for their hospitals, their education programs, all this kind of stuff. So they have to double down and say, hey, look, we hit all these quotas, right?
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to confirm that this is true.
Yeah.
I contacted some doctors in Shenzhen, where the Shenzhen CDC is. At first, they were like, nah, that can't be true. Then they looked into it and they're like, yeah, it is true.
Well, some people knew about this.
Yeah, sure. And they were like, yeah, it was put out officially, but they quickly deleted it. Apparently, they deleted this fairly quickly afterwards. And they're like, they don't know who posted it. They can't figure out. But they suspect it's due to all the strain that the doctors are currently under right now. This is their take on it.
I would like to, and I appreciate you doing that due diligence, but I'd like to combat some of that, not to prove you wrong.
Sure.
To prove them wrong that this was deleted. So although this was deleted from the CD, so we can confirm, by the way.
We can confirm that it was real.
So Winston confirmed that this was real from the Shenzhen CDC, but what I found out was, although it was deleted from the Shenzhen CDC WeChat, even though they claimed, oh, it's just because they're tired and stressed, so they want to blame it on America, it's actually not been deleted from the rest of the internet.
No, from the rest of the, because it's being shared around like wildfire.
All over the place. And the comments are saying things like, we hope America dies. Everyone there deserves a painful death. Eat shit and die. All this kind of horrible, horrible dialogue. Because it's actually allowed to perpetuate. Yes. The Chinese government likes when articles like this come out because it foments more xenophobia.
Yes.
There's a huge campaign right now in China for the Chinese government to make sure that Chinese people are only on the side of China and they don't have anything to do with the rest of the world, particularly the West. We'll actually see that in some of the pro-Russia propaganda they've been putting out.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, bullshit. They have not deleted it from the rest of the internet. The Chinese government can erase anything in 2 seconds.
Yeah, and the fact that it came from an official Center for Disease Control account, it gives it clout. I mean, just imagine the CDC in America puts something out there, okay? People are going to trust it. They're going to see it as being real.
Yeah.
Okay? Look, I've seen some of the internal jokes going around between the doctors and stuff in China, and some of the jokes they're saying are things like, we are blocking people. That people that are dying and really need medical help, we're keeping them at bay, keeping them outside of the hospital doors while we protect and nurture the people who are actually not sick and asymptomatic.
I'm glad you brought that up. We actually got a leaked clip coming up here from Shanghai that corroborates that too.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, this whole thing about America, once again, I want to just reiterate what it said there before we continue. It's like, apparently, we're so happy in the West now, okay? Because we're free. Because I'll be honest with you, we are free. We haven't ever had a situation where we were forced to, you must be in this place and you're not allowed to leave your house.
Locked under a
bridge. And you must be tested every day and do all this crazy stuff. No, we've always been able to go out and do what we want at our own risk. Obviously, at your own peril, you have to, know what you're doing. But anyway. But apparently we're happy and, everyone's not complaining because we've been fooled and crippled by Western values.
And we don't care if we die, we just go to heaven. So.
Yeah, and it's stupid because has anyone ever thought about going to heaven to talk about freedom and human rights? In other words, you're going to die and then you can talk about it?
We were going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I just want to highlight the fact that some of the other slides here from this post were insinuating that it was a biological weapon from the U.S., by the way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, and this is all from the CDC.
Yeah. Imagine if the CDC said... the new illness that is causing people to turn into zombies and eat each other's brains is from China. Yeah. Like you just got that on your phone yesterday.
Yeah, that's because remember, this goes out to everybody.
Yeah.
It's an official account. And if you're following, and in most cases, people are forced to follow any kind of updates as far as COVID is concerned, and you're following the CDC, okay, on your phone, it pops up there. Everyone's reading this and sharing it out. It's got incredible amount of views and discussion around this thing, which has been now deleted, but it's still allowed to propagate around the internet.